Hello everyone, welcome to Product Cosmos. My name is Ashramit Singh. Guys, as I told you last time, that throughout this series of videos, we would be calling out different product managers working in different domains, different organizations. To live up to that promise and to take this series ahead, we have yet another product manager today from the leading largest bank of the country, the HDFC Bank. Her name is Harshita Singh. She has been in this space for more than 4 years now. She has worked on different credit products, working with different organizations, and currently she's working as a senior product manager with HDFC Bank. A special mention here, Harshita also happens to be amongst the top 10% talent pool of the HDFC Bank. So HDFC has this concept of recognizing its brightest, most talent, and Harshita happens to be one such candidate, who is in top 10% HDFC's talent pool. So I am really very honored, to have such a interact on our platform today. I'm sure, while talking to her, we could get immensely benefited. But before we proceed ahead, I would request each and every one of you who is watching us, who are liking our content, please do click on that like button or subscribe button, because your one like and one subscribe could go a long way, as far as this content is concerned, so that we keep ourselves motivated and keep bringing such more content to you. Uh, okay, so let's go ahead and welcome Harshita. Just a second. Hi, Harshita.
Hi, Ashwin. Thanks for having me here.
It's a pleasure, Harshita. As I said, it's our pleasure to have you here. So, Harshita, before we take this ahead and I kind of explain you the entire concept, how about you go ahead and introduce yourself to our viewers and followers?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, hi everyone. I'm Harshita. I started my career back in 2016
Hmm.
after completing my PGDM in rural management from IRMA. I started with one of the payments and remittances companies as a strategic projects manager. Later, I moved to HDFC Bank, where I'm currently working with its rural banking group, handling rural lending portfolio through a bouquet of varied agri lending products and services. So yes,
Got
I have been into BFSI sector in Mumbai since all more than 4 years now. Yes, yeah,
Amazing. That's a lovely introduction. Harshita, also I would request you, your voice is a little feeble. If you can, be a little closer to the mic, that will be really helpful. Yeah, great. Yeah,
sure. Is it
yeah,
fine
it's
now?
better. It's better. It's better, Harshita.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for that introduction, Harshita. So right, how this works. This is going to be a mock interview session wherein I would ask you a few questions, acting to be an interviewer, and you're supposed to answer the questions in the same way, or you're supposed to answer in the same way as you are in an actual interview, right? So though this is going to be a mock interview, but I would want your answers to be as real as the actual interview, right? So that
Okay.
whosoever is watching us, is liking our content, maybe they can get benefited out of these videos, right? So,
Sure.
Arshita, you know the concept, right? You're comfortable, and can we take this forward?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so Harshita, since you come from a BFSI domain and you have so much of experience, working on different credit products, as you mentioned. So I thought, maybe to ask you a question, that is from the, your expertise, that has your expertise. The question to you is that, if you were to launch a product, for the rural market of India. I'm talking about some credit product here. This could be a secured credit product, or this could be an unsecured form of credit product. But you have to launch a product for the rural markets of India, right? What would be that
Okay.
product, and how would you go about scaling that product to masses? Is what my question is to you. Also, you know the underlying statement over here, to you is that, since what I believe, since I have also personally worked in the credit space for some amount of time, what I understand is that, as far as the urban markets are concerned, generally the credit markets are driven by two major principles. Number one is ability to pay, right? That is essentially something, which is highly correlated to the income that an individual is drawing, or if the person is into the business line of activities, then maybe the revenue or the sales that person is able to fetch out of the business. So ability to pay is generally correlated with that factor, right? And second important
Hmm.
parameter or the pillar is willingness to pay, right? That it could be the fact that maybe this person is drawing a really good salary, or the business is really flourishing well, but the intentions are not right, hence you might face a bad debt from that person. So these are the two concrete pillars on which the credit industry operates, as far as my knowledge is concerned, right? But when we speak of the rural markets as such, right? In rural markets, what I do understand is that since most of these people, especially in a country like India, where the people are not connected to banks, people have a little to or a very limited amount of knowledge, as far as credit as a concept is concerned, right? The literacy is very high. So when the scenario is such, right, what will be the factors, that will go into an equation, before lending it to such people? Because since these people are not joined with banks, they don't have any sort of a credit history, so certainly we cannot look or rely on the credit reports, etc., to ascertain that this person could be the fit for this particular credit, right? So it will be really interesting for me to know that how will you approach that as a problem, that while we are actually focusing on masses, right, we want this product to go to large markets of the rural space, but at the same time, being a lender, we have to ensure that whatever we are lending comes out good, right? So I'm hoping, though I made the question quite broad, but I'm hoping, I've been able to, express myself, and right, what I'm asking. Or are there any more questions you
Yes,
can?
yes. No, no, no. Definitely. I think that's in fact a great question to start with. Though I would request few seconds to construct upon my answer.
Sure, Harshita. I would still request, your voice is still very feeble. If you can speak a little loud or probably bring a mic little closer to you, that will be helpful. Yeah.
Okay. Is it fine
Yeah,
now?
it's much better. It's much better. And I think you have asked for some time, right? You can please go ahead and take your
Yeah, yeah.
time to collate your thoughts. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Uh, yeah, Shivmeet.
Oh, you're
Yes.
ready.
I think we're, yeah, yeah.
Amazing, Harshita. Please
So,
go ahead. Please go
yeah.
ahead.
Can I start? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, see, hello.
Yeah,
Am I
you're
audible?
audible, Harshita. You're audible. Yeah.
Okay. So, Ashwin, see, given the scenario wherein as in a product manager, if I'm required to develop any kind of product for the rural market, I think first most there are few important aspects which I would consider before ideating anything.
Sure.
So, uh, the first is the need identification. I would try to figure out what is that very basic need of this rural market, and which is also predominant in nature, which I can
Yeah.
cater to.
Yeah.
Second would be, will my product be able to generate the desired business profitability and scalability to me?
Correct. Correct.
Thirdly, it may be that whether this product enable to ensure that the interest of my organization and the quality of portfolio remains intact or not. Uh, Now, considering these aspects, I would now move to understand the basic nature of this rural India.
Sure.
So, as we all know, the majority of the population in rural India is into agricultural production,
Correct.
and our country itself being primarily an agrarian economy,
Hmm.
I think agriculture is that very basic activity wherein wherein we can provide financial assistance to these rural folks or the farmers
Correct.
per se.
Correct.
So, combining these two things, the three aspects which I said, and the basic nature of the rural, I can probably come up with a product like secured crop loans, wherein
Okay.
under which I would provide a specified a specified amount of credit facility, you can say, for their farm related needs, like crop production, pre-harvest and post-harvest expenses. So, and yes, as I said, that I would prefer upon a secured credit program, wherein I would go for things like hypothecation of crops onto which for which I will be funding.
Okay.
Then probably the mortgage of the agricultural land on which these crops are produced. So this is the ideation part. So once I'm as in a product manager, I am done with the basic conceptualization or the ideation of any product program. I would then move to the construct of this product program,
Mm-hmm.
wherein a basic blueprint is built up, and this construct is laid down under few broad parameters
Okay.
like go no go parameters, eligibility assessment, policy guidelines, packaging of the product, documentation, and various other things.
Sure.
So I would quickly elaborate upon these few broad headlines under which this product would be built up.
Okay.
So the very first is go no go parameters. So basically, go no go parameters are nothing but a very basic filter which you apply to allow or not to allow any set of customers to undergo further credit assessment under your whatever the credit program is. So it's a minimum checklist, you can say. So for
So
example, in the case of
basically, when you say use this, terminology, go no go. Basically, are you saying that if someone doesn't meet this criteria, they are straight away out of any sort of scope of getting credit, right? You're completely ruling out such people.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So this is the basic filter, you can say. One has
Okay.
to pass through this
Uh,
filter.
okay.
So, for example, in the case of crop loans, the go no go parameters could be whether the customer has a minimum land holding or not, whether his land
Okay.
is rain fed or irrigated, whether he meets the criteria of minimum distance from his home to his to the bank's branch, uh, um, or maybe the fulfillment of KYC documents. And many other such parameters.
Okay.
So now, once any customer passes these go no go parameters, comes the eligibility assessment part. So I would say that eligibility assessment is nothing but just a further extension of these go no go parameters,
Okay.
wherein for example, if in case of this thing go no go parameter, you have defined a minimum land holding. Now in the eligibility assessment, you check at that what amount of land holding is actually possessed by the customer, and then you correlate this amount of land holding to the amount of finance you can offer to him. So here in under eligibility assessment, you define a range of variables which you use to assess the financial health of customer, his repayment capacity, probably the probability of default, and yes, of course, your prediction towards the quality of portfolio. So in the case of, for example, in
Harshita,
the case
sorry,
of
sorry to interrupt. So I would want to understand more over here, right? So we had already talked
yeah,
about, the go-no-go parameters, right? You mentioned, that
correct.
minimum land holding or vicinity from the branch, KYC documents, etc. And now you're talking about the eligibility, right? So, want
Correct.
to understand more that what would be the difference between the go-no-go parameters and the eligibility, right? How are they both different? Are you saying that if someone clears the go no go, still they can be credit deprived, or they can be ruled out from the probable scope of getting credit, or is it like they have cleared a go no go, now then certainly you're going to get some form of a credit for sure?
No, no, no. Scenario one is true, wherein uh, if a person clears the this go no go parameter, then he has to. It is not certain that he would be offered with a certain amount loan amount or not. So
Okay.
eligibility, under eligibility assessment, you have to meet that particular range also to be eligible to avail that offering. So go no go parameter is the initial filter. Then you have to undergo a proper assessment wherein you can be either you can be offered or you may get denied with the loan offering.
Okay, okay.
So for
So explain
example,
us more. I think
for,
explain us
yes,
more
yes.
that how eligibility works.
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, I'll take this example of crop loans only. So, for example, in crop, in crop loan, so these are the range of variables. As I said, taking the example of land holding, in the go no go, you were considering the minimum land holding. For example, one should have 0.5 acres, then only he is eligible to enter that credit
Got
assessment. But under eligibility assessment, you would see what amount of land holding he has. For example, whether 2 acres, 3 acres, and then
okay,
accordingly you proportionate it to the quantum of finance that you can offer to that customer.
okay,
So for
okay.
a 2 acres holding would have a little lower quantum of finance which can be offered, and the others who have higher land holding, 3 acres, 5 acres, or
Can
whatever,
have a higher
so would
quantum,
have
sure.
accordingly. Yeah, correct, correct. So there are, I would just share few other eligibility assessment parameters in this example of crop loan only. It can be uh, what amount of land holding, then valuation of that loan land holding as per the government or whatever the market rate,
Okay,
and then
okay,
that whether that valuation gets covered under the minimum percentage desired for collateral value, then maybe how reliable is the source of irrigation, then it can be the nature of repayment track record, if any, credit bureau of any customer or the dedupe checks, fulfillment of KYC norms. So one needs to have a proper documentations,
sure.
and maybe yes, the price realization and the cash flows which he gets by the sale of the whatever the crop he is growing. So there are various such eligibility parameters that may differ from one product to another.
Yeah, I think so. I have a follow up question here for you, Harshita. So you have mentioned about the bureau, right? So as I was speaking to the viewers, I had made a mention over there, right? That certainly the chances that the rural people will have some sort of a background or footprint on the Credit Bureau of India, or they would have some kind of a credit report is extremely low, right? Because in past also, because of several factors, they might not have got a loan, hence having a credit card or or some kind of a secured loan, etc., which would have led them to have a some kind of a footprint on the bureau would have been right ruled out in previous instances itself, right? So I don't expect, at least I don't expect, right, that these people will have some kind of a credit bureau. So as a lender, right, I am not asking you to be some organization here, I'm not asking you to be a bank, I'm not putting a name here, but let's say you have your own NBFC, right? Or let's say you have your own bank. Would you still go ahead and extend some sort of a loans to these people, or would you say that since these people are not connected with the bureau yet and they don't have a fine print, so you would simply rule them out? Is what my question is to you.
No, see, rural India is in a way very different from urban market.
Right.
So you really cannot have very deadly parameters in it. It cannot be just
Correct.
black and white. You need to keep that gray area in
Correct.
between.
Correct.
So yes, it is very true that yes, these rural folks would not have credit history because they would not have access to even the
True.
basic banking structure, the savings habit, and all. So you
Mhm.
cannot expect to have them the credit history. So no, we don't just finance to the farmers or the rural folks who have credit history. We also consider the people who do not have, you can say, nil credit history or whatever the CIBIL score.
Sure.
So, CIBIL score is not just one parameter or any other considering consideration to any other bureau. It is also the combination of other parameters. It can be, the cases can be there wherein there is no credit history, but then we can assess the case basis other credibility parameters, like maybe amount of his land holding, his vintage into the particular livelihood activity or the village, and
Sure,
reference checks, his feedback from the gram panchayat, and
sure.
then obviously his price realization, his cash flows during the year or the particular crop cycle.
So
If in case
yeah,
he
that sorry. So cash flows again, right? So cash flows also, something what I personally believe you must be, relying upon the bank statements, or some kind of income proof, which I believe, for rural people will be nothing more than the bank statements itself. So when we speak of cash flows, how would you validate that? So is it the bank statements is what we are talking here?
Not truly the bank statement. There can again there can be scenarios wherein the person doesn't have a bank account at all,
Correct,
and he's the
correct,
new to bank customer.
correct.
So therein you, so that's the, I can say that's the beauty of rural India, the beauty of doing a business in rural India, that you need to be that sharp enough, that expert enough, that other than these, these tangible things through which you can assess, there has to be a intangible way, like assessment of his cash flows through your visit to his fields, wherein he does his crop production and all.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
you should have a fair idea, fair knowledge of what are the minimum, what is the market linkage to his sale of produce, then what is the minimum support price for that particular crop which he is growing, uh, and then is it a cash crop or is it a staple crop. So you need to have that agricultural background to be able to assess his cash flows through his crop production.
Sure. So this is done by some surveyor or someone, because certainly, the I don't believe that, everything will be known to you when the person comes to the branch, or the concerned credit prospect, right? He would not be able to, articulate, or tell the exact amount of factors, that you're looking at, as far as the granting of credit is concerned. So this assessment is done by whom essentially?
So yeah, so this is done. So for example, in the case of bank, it is done by the either by the sales officer or relationship manager,
Okay.
uh, and obviously you can hire third party business
Agencies
correspondents.
and all. Sure,
Yeah,
sure. That's
yeah.
fair. That's fair. So very valuable points, right, Harshita? So we have talked about, we have talked about the land holding that a person possesses, right? Basis which you ascertain the quantum of credit that can be, granted to an individual. We have talked about, the reliable sources of irrigation, right? That what kind of, irrigation facilities he has at his disposal, or she has at his disposal. Then we have talked about the credit bureau footprint. But even if it is not there, then you have suggested that, there could be alternate ways through which you can ascertain that, this person has a good cash flow coming, right? And you will certainly not be relying on just the credit bureau. There are alternate ways, through which we can we will try to create some sort of a persona, that this person could be a good prospect versus someone who is not. The KYCs, of course, right? So, once okay, so all of these factors goes into equation, right? Is there a particular ticket size, that comes out after, all of this is done, or is it something else? So would you want to bring out some kind of a ticket size aspect, that, after doing this evaluation, this is the sort of a ticket size is what generally, you will come out, to be granted to these individuals, or there is some different approach?
See, for rural India, you cannot really. The ticket size depend on organization to organization. They would have different
Sure.
ticket size range basis their own capability to lend to this set of customer. But yes, herein I would like to bring in one important factor, that unlike urban financing, here in the agriculture, the financing is not actually the scam based financing. It
Mm-hmm.
is basically, it is dependent, the whatever the quantum of finance of that particular. For example, uh, you would have different products for different geographies and for different crops.
Okay.
So and there are certain scale of finance which are, defined by certain district level committees. So so scale of finance is nothing but a minimum cost which is incurred in the, production of that particular crop. So
Sure.
every crop would have a different scale of finance. So most of the organizations or the banks per se structure the quantum of finance of these crop loan products basis the SOF defined by district level committees. So potato would have a different SOF, tomatoes or whatever the crop
What is
is, the
SOS?
wheat,
What is
rice.
SOS here?
It is SOF, scale of finance. So it
Scale of
is nothing
finance.
but
Okay.
but a value is defined considering the minimum cost which is incurred by the farmer to grow that particular crop.
Sure.
So it is a fixed funding, basically a fixed funding method is adopted.
Okay.
You may give a certain percentage above that is SOF, minimum SOF, maybe 20 to 30% more than that.
Sure. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting, I would say rather. Okay. So, okay, let's move one step ahead, right? I think we have got good knowledge, as far as the approach to credit would be concerned, right? What all factors goes into equation, before deciding that whether this person is a right fit for this credit or not. But now moving a step ahead and figuring out, as they say, right, the product is a face, for an organization, while the marketing is the voice, right? So,
Right.
how will you ensure that, while you have a very good product, right? Uh, how will you ensure that, it does reaches the masses, and you are able to scale big time and make it a success for the organization? We have already talked about the health aspects, right? That while you would want to make it a huge success, we have ensured that on credit parameters it does stands good. But now it's important, as a product manager, that you create a mix, or you create a marketing plan via which you are able to reach masses, and this product is a hit amongst that market that you have decided. So one or two constraints I would want to put in over here, that would you want to really go gungo and launch this product in the entire rural market in all the regions of India probably, or would you just do some kind of testing in particular segments, right, or in the particular parts of the country? Since I am very clear the product is going to be the secured crop product that you're offering it to the users. But now, would you be just launching this in a particular segment, or would you go gungo? And second question is that what are the methodologies that you're going to use to ensure that you are able to hit the concerned segments, which you are targeting, and the product does reaches out to them, so that they can act and get benefited out of them, is what my question is to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think indeed this is a very, very important question you have put up.
Indeed.
So up till now we have talked about what could be the product,
Right.
but it is very, very essential to have a how strategy. That how are you gonna take your product to those last miles. So, to answer your question, I would first answer the second part, which is what would be the methodology. So, see, I'll very briefly explain few very important aspects of rural India.
Mm-hmm.
So, for any business to be able to, be successful or to play its business successfully in this particular territory, it is important to understand four A's of rural economy. The way we
Okay.
have four P's in urban markets, so there are four A's of rural economy. The very first is awareness. So under awareness, you need to work upon your communication mediums. That what mediums are you gonna use to educate your customers about the availability of your product, about its feature, the benefits they're gonna get out of it. So and the possible ways of communication could be marketing campaigns like wall paintings, then putting hoardings, conducting nukkar nataks or loan melas, maybe approaching gram panchayats to reach out to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second A would be the affordability part. So, under this, you need to work around your pricing structure. Pricing, I mean to say, in terms of what rate of interest would be, then things like processing fees, legal charges, foreclosure charges. So you cannot have a very, fancy pricing, which is just in benefit of your organization, because it has to be affordable by these people who do not really have a huge cash inflows.
One question here, Harshita. So, is pricing a function of the market that you are going in, like other products, or will being a credit product, pricing will actually be the function of the profile of the customer, right, to whom you're lending?
So see, yes, it can see. It is basically a function of both. In a rural area, you would get both kind of farmers: the small and
Yeah,
marginal farmers and the large farmers.
right.
So it would be a combination. It would be a function of both the profile and the market. So yes, for large farmers, you can play around your this thing rate of interest and all.
Why I'm asking this
So
question is why I'm asking this question to you is, Harshita, that being a product manager, right? Maybe you would want, right, to offer your product at a really lower rate of interest, right? Maybe as low as 8% or 10%. While someone who is wearing a credit hat, right? They would would have certainly ascertained the profile of an individual, and they would say that okay, minimum 15% is what I would want from this person to ensure that I mitigate off the losses, in a prolonged period, or in maybe in 4 or 5 EMI, so that if even if this person goes bad, shows a bad debt, in the near future, I am able to recover off losses well, right? So I want to just understand that approach, right? That while A seems to be a very important thing here, the affordability aspect, but is really affordability something that is in the control of a product manager or the marketing team, or is it just that it is going to come out of the things that we had just discussed, in the eligibility assessment of an individual?
see, one thing is that as in a practice, generally the rate of interest for rural folks is not kept at a very higher this thing bracket. Secondly, if at all any kind of concessions or subventions you need to give to the customer to who is not very well off, and maybe a small and marginal farmer. So already I'll like to highlight an aspect that this sector is hugely highly regulated by the government bodies, the state level and central government authorities.
Sure.
So government already has various schemes under which you package your product program in a manner that you offer interest subventions are given to the customer. So that is in a way taken care by applicability of government schemes. So
Yeah,
yes,
I understand. So, Harshita, maybe I'm not able to articulate, what I'm trying to say over here. While I understand, the things like foreclosure, right, part payment, right, are the charges, that generally a branch or a specific bank or an institution decides, right? For our viewers, I just want to tell you, foreclosure means, that if you want to close your loan prior to the tenor that you had initially selected for, you want to repay the entire sum that you had taken as a loan, is said to be a foreclosure. Many of the banks have this policy, to charge a hefty rate of interest, from the people, even if they are making a foreclosure prior to the tenor that they had initially chosen it for. So I can understand, right, that aspect is something, that as a product manager, you may say that for rural people, I don't want to have that foreclosure only, or I would want to have it at a very minimal rate of interest. Secondly, of
very
course,
true. Yeah.
the prepayment, or foreclosure का prepayment ही हो गया, any sort of other charges, right? Late payment fee, etc. You can play around, but particularly from rate of interest perspective, right? My question is that what is the right amount of interest, right, for this particular segment is a function of whom? Is it the credit assessment that we had done, which we had already gone through in detail on the parameters that you put across to us, and we discussed that in detail? Or is it like, that okay, let's say, initially, out of the credit assessment, we figured out that 15% is what we want to give it to these users. But since you find that, okay, as a product manager or as a marketing head, you feel that, okay, this is a segment I want to really win over this segment, hence I don't want to lend it at 15%, I will lend to these people at a 13% rate of interest. Can that call be taken by a product manager or the marketing head, is what my question to you.
Yes, yes, definitely. It is in the hands of the product manager to play around this pricing matrix,
Okay.
obviously. Yes, but you need to define a certain range under which you can play around. So maybe for crop loans, it may differ from 7 to 11% if it is a case of cash credit. So yes, it is in the hands of the product manager. But
Okay.
you
Okay.
need to
Sure.
have a certain pricing matrix.
Sure. Okay, Harshita, please go ahead. We have talked about awareness, we have talked about affordability. What's next?
Yeah. So third would be your availability. So under this, you need to work upon your distribution channel. As we all know, the rural is already a very widespread geography, and so it comes with its own implication of higher operational costs. So to be able to control your operational costs, you need to have a very robust distribution channel. So then fourth and the
Sorry,
last is
sorry. I have
yeah.
another question here. When we speak of availability, right, or the distribution channel, what sort of a distribution channels are we talking here, right? As a layman, what I understand is, bank branches are the only way, through which you would ensure that the excess of credit reaches out to these people, right? Are there some other alternatives also, through which you are trying to ensure the availability of this product? Do you have something in mind when you speak of this
Yes,
parameter
yes.
availability? Yeah. Yeah.
Bank branches in today's scenario, bank branches are not just the one thing through which you can make your
Hmm.
offering.
Yeah.
There are other concepts like obviously corporate-led BCs, I mean to say business correspondence,
Sure.
and then individual business correspondence.
Sure.
And then one thing is that definitely rural is a product which has to be which needs to have a close relationship. So it is basically a relationship manager led product. So you need to have your feet on street on ground to be able to make your product offering at the doorstep of the customer.
Okay, that's a very interesting point, Arshada. You have talked about fleet on street, right? Is fleet on street really a scalable way to reach out the masses if we are really looking at catering to large masses, right, in the rural parts of the country? So when we know that these people are remotely located, right, and the access to these people is not as good as you would expect in the urban areas, right? The digital presence is absolute. The digital access, or the digital response by these people is extremely or I would say negligible, right? Is fleet on street just the right way to reach out to these people, or do you have some other alternates as well, right? Because personally it hits me, right? Easier said than done, right? Fleet and street, I believe it's a high on cost operations methodology to reach out to these masses. Could there be some other ways as well to which we can make our product accessible to these segments? Because branch, I
Uh,
understand, I think I agree with you that setting up a branch will be extremely tough, right? Setting up branches in different rural parts of the country and ensuring that these people then will turn on into the branches is highly low, right? So what could be those ways, right, as far as the availability is concerned? Yeah, please go ahead.
So I would say that see, feet on street, if not, the only option or whether the right option or not, but it is the most appropriate, it's one of the best options you can go with. But yes, there can be various alternatives, uh, uh, I would say various alternatives which you can add to your feet on street. So you really do not need to take some urban people, some people hire some people from the urban areas and then make them go to these rural areas to sell off your products. You can hire the local talents from that particular village only. So there's also a concept of VLEs, which you call village level entrepreneurs. So there are certain people from that village only. So they nominate themselves to be able to to help you out in your business, and they earn certain amount of commission out of it.
Sure. Sure.
So, and then as I told, other than RMs, relationship managers, there can be business
Correct.
correspondents. So these are the possible ways. Yeah.
So, Harshita, sorry for another question here, but yeah, I this is something which is hitting my mind again. That when we talk about all these agencies, right, or the people from the particular village itself who can act as an correspondence to you, to your bank or an NBFC, or the any other way, right, the fleet on street methodology that you had suggested. As a product manager, right, how will you be able to track and ensure that okay, that you had a, let's say you had a plan to reach out to 1 lakh people in a particular region, let's say Punjab or wherever, right? Now if you have taken this approach, right, as far as this availability as a pillar is concerned, that you have to reach out to 1 lakh people and make this product available to them. If you follow this approach of using fleet on street, how will you track and ensure that yes, that these people did their job well and they did reach out to 1 lakh people, and this is the conversion that you have got? This is all fictional, right? That how will you track and ensure that okay, your product did reach 1 lakh people and this is the conversion that you have got? It may be that, it may be the fact, right, that they just sat at their homes and told you, that okay, we had approached 10,000 odd people and none of them responded and none of them were eligible, right? So as a product manager, how do you look at that aspect, to ensure that yes, you have this as a concept and now you would make it successful through this approach? Can you throw some light on that aspect?
See, this is a thing which at organizational level is itself ensured through various methodologies.
Mm-hmm.
Therein comes the role of portfolio management, then sales force management. Then there you could use various technologies like which track your feet on street, various digital mobile applications, so they track their locations and all. But yes, at a vertical, at a unit level, you would like to ensure that the business targets are met. So they are able to make the disbursements, make the whatever the sanctions and the disbursement, and then you manage your portfolio, you analyze your portfolio, that what your product, how well your product is doing, what is the movement of your product into
Sure.
which particular geographies. So
Sure.
there are various organizational
Sure.
level or the department level methodologies which
Oh,
can be
that
adopted,
makes
and
sense
there is,
actually. Sure. Sure. Please
I
go ahead.
I think not just, it's not just the role of the product manager. Also, therein you collaborate with other team members also who looks into the portfolio management or sales force management. Yeah,
Sure. Interesting. Yeah, please go ahead, Harshada. You were on availability. What is
yeah.
the last pillar?
So, so last is acceptability. Acceptability is nothing but nothing but just if you are able to meet the other three A's, acceptability in a way itself comes. And also see, rural people doesn't you doesn't go for all the fancy things, so you need not to, you cannot have a product which has a very short lived buzz. You need to have a certain kind of either mid-term or long-term acceptability to your products. Maybe the benefits of your products are such that it gives a long-term, sustainability in terms of acceptance
Do you
towards
see
that
any
product.
challenges with respect to credit products, that they are not sustainable? Because credit as a
Uh,
and when we speak of credit demand, right, it is always, inclining in a country like India, right? So is sustainability really an issue, as far as credit products are concerned in the rural parts?
See, sustainability is a concern not in terms of need of this product, because anyways this is the very basic livelihood activities and we are catering to the very basic need of this particular territory. So in terms of need it is not, but yes, there are various external factors which impact the credit behavior of any customer. There are factors like various political announcements like debt waiver, which has been widely spread since few years now, And then rural geographies are prone to vagaries of nature. So, climatic conditions matter.
Correct.
So sustainability may be in terms of these external factors which impact the repayment behavior or the repayment capacity of any customer.
Sure. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thank you so much. One last question, Harshita here. So,
Sure.
what I believe is, that from, several years, all these rural people have been, sort of suppressed by, the uh, money lenders, the zamindars, right, who charged hefty rate of interest from them. But still, these people go to them as a matter of fact that, whenever there is a need of credit, it is always urgent, right? Unlike in the urban areas, where the people are literate and just tend to plan, their credit that, okay, 5 months down the line or year down the line, I will be needing credit for the specific purpose. Uh, Unlike that, in rural Indias, the demand is always urgent, right? There may be some kind of a, calamity concern, right? Or there could be some kind of a family issue for which these people look for credit. And then one of the very important aspects that you had highlighted, the uh, access to that credit is not that great from the, be it the banks or the NBFCs. Hence, they have to resort to all these money lenders and zamindars. Now, if you are designing a product, right, for these people, would you want to ensure that, the access is extremely free flowing, right? Would you want to use some kind of a technology also as a part of this thing, since we understand, right, that now the access to mobile phones, even the smart mobile phones and the internet connections is pretty good, right? It's reaching out to masses, even the rural India. So would you want to, bring in certain technology aspects as well to ensure that, which will of course help you reduce the cost? We had discussed, right, the availability aspect, right, that it will help you to reach out the masses, but then it will also ensure that, the product is more acceptable, because the moment you give instant access to credit, right, this is true for even urban areas, right? The moment we talk about instant credit, a lot of people get excited, right? That if instant is there, okay, even if I don't have a need of credit, maybe I should look for one, right? That's how it works. So especially for these people, right, do you have some kind of a thought process in mind that, if you have to give instant sort of a credit, or may not, let's not call it to be instant, but without little efforts, right? They don't need to come to branch, right? They can upload documents, or, they can, on the tap of button, some kind of a representative can be sent to them and stuff like that, right? Would you want to bring in certain things for this product of yours?
So yes, Ashwamedh, I would like to share that I would share the solutions later, but firstly, I would like to
Yeah.
highlight the problem. So if in the case when I have taken the example of secured finance, so the major problem here, unlike urban, is that you need to mortgage the land. But the problem is in the rural areas, in the this particular portion of the pie, the land things are not very much digitalized like urban. In urban, probably you would get all the digital data maintained at the government offices, but not in the case of rural territories. But and this holds the major the major very important part, that you have to get the charge creation. Bank should have, bank or whatever the organization would like to have its first charge on the particular patch of land. So this is one major problem. So which can be mitigated, of course, if the government comes up with the online charge creation and maintenance of land records
Yeah, yeah.
on
So
a
I
digital
understand,
platform.
as far as the nitty-gritties of loan is concerned, right? I'm not saying that, let's chuck out all the documents, let's, mitigate all the, process or the policies that a bank has. All I was thinking that, maybe with some kind of, app, or probably with some kind of, toll-free number, if we can, make it familiar to these people that whenever you have a need of a credit, call on this number, right, which is a bank's number or an NBFC's number, right? Or if you can just download this app and you can tap on this button, and, someone, from the bank's team, be it some kind of a relationship manager or some surveyor or whosoever, is there, for that job, goes up to them and then asks them, that, okay, what do they need, right? That could be just a good way to sort of establish a connect with these people, right?
Yes,
Because
yes,
today they don't have,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. So, for example, in HDFC only, so
Right.
HDFC was in news a few months back because of its, first ever this thing, toll-free number for exclusively for farmers in the industry.
Sure. Sure.
So, yeah, so that's a toll-free number wherein, and the marketing of this toll-free number is again done by our feet on street through wall paintings and things like that.
Amazing.
So on this number, they can call anytime, and there is a tag defined that you have to approach. You need to approach this customer within a defined tag of a day or two, maximum 2 days. That's how you ensure that you are making your offering available to your customer. And then if you talk about digital interventions towards loan processing, if
Hmm.
not end to end, then obviously we can
Correct.
digitalize few stages. For example, the sourcing part, yes,
Right.
we can have digital interventions like upfront CIBIL check through an interface which get through those bureaus, and then you can have all the details filled in digitally over a mobile application or the tab of your
Correct.
organization.
Correct. Correct.
So you can definitely digitalize certain legs of your process. And yes, there's one aspect also under this crop loans. There is an enhancement. These loans are basically uh, um, reviewed in this thing reviewed at every crop cycle, or you can say every
Okay.
year. So
Okay.
during the renewal, you also offer an enhancement to the existing loans. So when you already have a customer which is existing customer, so you can digitalize this enhancement process. If not the new loan process, then obviously the enhancement part you can
Sure.
digitalize, wherein
Sure.
you provide a link or sort of something, and then on a simple click, 10% or 20%, whatever the enhancement amount is, gets disbursed into his or her account.
Okay, that is instant. That's instant. Okay,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Harshita. I think that was indeed a very knowledgeable session. I think a lot of good points we had discussed, and I'm sure all the viewers who would be watching this video sometime soon would get immensely benefited. Because I believe there is a very little knowledge people have as far as the credit markets are concerned. It's looked upon in a very different way. Even from a credit ads perspective, and you have brought in some really good points that everyone would love, I'm sure. So on the closing note, Harshita, as I said, right, this platform is all about the budding product managers, or the people, those who are trying to establish themselves well into the space. So since you have been in this space, right, from quite some time now, I would want to understand from you what are the basic principle, as in Harshita applies in her daily life, as and when she goes out, be it in HDFC or any other product management role she has taken in the past. What are those basic principles, that you would want to maybe share with all of us, which could benefit each one of us?
Yeah, sure, Ashwin. So with my own 4 years of experience, I can at least share the do's and don'ts of being a product manager.
Sure.
So, firstly, I would say, being a product manager, never ever work in silos. So, you need to have a consistent communication with any or every team member who holds a certain stake into your product, may it be legal team, policy, credit, operations, sales, anybody.
Correct.
So, secondly, I would say that never allow any kind of concessions to your product which compromises with its quality. And yes, third would be you should all being a product manager, you should always have a realization that at what stage of product life cycle is your product and what value addition you can do to it. So the job of a product manager is not just to ideate or build new product. It is also to take it successfully throughout the product life cycle.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
and last, which I can say is, being a product manager, you should have a ability not just to innovate new products, but also to rethink and rebuild the existing ideas, the existing products in a much better and innovative
Sure.
manner.
Sure. Evolving
So yes, these
evolving a
are the
product
things.
is very critical.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yes,
amazing,
these are the
Harshada. I
few
think
tips.
that was again something really very important, and I'm sure all the ones who are viewing this will apply these in their daily lives to be as successful as you have been, in your career. So thank you so much, Harshita, for coming over here and sharing these thoughts. I'm sure this will be a session that will be loved by each and everyone who is going to view it. So thank you so much once again, and all the best for all your endeavors.
Thank you, Ashwin. In fact, it's my pleasure to be here. And I think it's a great initiative being taken. And this should help many, many aspirants out there who are into product management domain and are seeking or would be seeking, good opportunities in this particular domain. So yes, all the best to everyone.
Thank you so much, Harshita. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you.